Hey guys, welcome to the K Nation Movement podcast. Today we're on episode 17 and we have Garrett Kucher on the show. He's a pro golfer who has experimented a lot with the keto diet to improve his physical and mental game. I'm super excited to share this one with you. As well, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported us and purchased our supplements. We've been overwhelmed, so much so that we've actually run out of our collagen peptides. We're busy restocking them now. They should be back in stock this week coming up. So make sure you're subscribed to our email list so that you don't miss it. But thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this one. Yeah, that's wicked. Well, I'm happy to have you on the show. I mean, it seems like we've had a trend recently with athletes and the keto diet with Josh, the BMX rider, and then Matt Tiff, the NASCAR driver. And I mean, it wasn't intentional. It just happened to be that I think more and more athletes are kind of diving into the diet aspect and you know, tampering with keto to see how it can kind of help them with either their performance or their physical and mental health. And with you, I know you have an interesting story about how you get started with golf and you know, what your background in sport in general was.
Yeah, it's you know what it's kind of funny how like I go from I played lots of ball down in the States, played lots of hockey, and now I've every day doing golf and trying to my better self in ways. And when I was actually on a scholarship out of high school for baseball. A couple different events happened that changed that up. I actually lost my best bud who got a scholarship with me to play baseball. He actually drowned about a month before we went. So kind of lost focus in a sense when I got there. So I just figured it wasn't for me. So I transferred over and went back to hockey, playing junior hockey. And it's kind of been a trend in my lifestyle where I've kind of just became obsessed with sports that I was doing and stuff like that. And just putting in, like, I was playing sports that I was able to kind of eat whatever I wanted and do whatever I want, and it wouldn't turn into anything. But now that golf has come around, I'm traveling and sitting in chairs and vehicles and planes, and I'm not really open to a good, a nice fridge or stuff like that where I can kind of put really good food in there and digest it. So it's kind of showing up that I need to be more strict on whatever I'm doing off the course or out of the gym in order to, I just don't have that luxury of burning calories all day like I did when I was playing hockey or baseball or stuff like that. So the keto diet's just been a huge one for me to bring into my life. So.
Yeah, well, I'm really sorry to hear about your friend, and I know when things like that happen, it's pretty easy to lose focus or maybe even completely stop playing sports or whatever it is that you were doing at the time. So to switch sports and to keep that mindset of still pursuing what makes you happy and staying physically active, I think was probably really important for you at that time to make sure that you were staying on the right track and not totally derailing from what you were supposed to do. And I know golf is an amazing sport. It's a lot of fun to play, and I'm sure a lot of things led you in that direction. When you got involved with it, was there a tipping point where you realized, like, okay, I got to get my diet dialed in, if I want to get better or if I want to do this for a long period of time and stay healthy doing it?
Yeah, you know what? I've kind of just been really lucky where just right off the get-go as a kid, I've been pretty fortunate just with my genes and stuff. My family's athletic, so my mom and dad played lots of sports, and I kind of just was born into that lifestyle when I was young. So whether it was playing road hockey or building forts or playing ball or golfing with my grandpa or whatever it might be, it's just kind of been go on the athletic side of things. When I realized that I needed to start doing more extracurricular stuff, including diet, working out, when to relax, when to play more events, was probably about 2.5 years into my professional career. I kind of felt like I had some early success as soon as I turned pro. Second year had probably the exact same equivalent over the 2 years of success. And the third year, I was kind of like, okay, well, what's gonna differentiate me? What's going to get me to the next level? So I was still working really hard on the range. I was working hard on the golf course. I have a great coach, manager. I had brain school, stuff like that. But I always caught myself, I got on the golf course, whether it was drinking a wrong coffee or whatever it was, I started to notice this trend that was happening to me, whether I woke up in the morning, felt unbelievable. And I went out there, and, it was just kind of luck, whether I felt good or not. So I'd go on the golf course, and maybe one day when I got to the tee, I had the shakes, or I was tired, or I was groggy, or I ran out of energy. I found this trend where I couldn't really control how I was feeling. So that was kind of a trigger to me to realize, okay, I need to do something about this, because it was one thing in my profession that I can control. So about 2.5 years, just about 2 years ago, I realized that I needed to put in a good effort to narrow down and structure my diet and figure something out that I could actually regulate and know, that I was going to feel this way during the day. And that was the keto diet.
Yeah. And was it a specific coach that got you involved with it, or had you heard about it, prior to getting help with?
You know what? There was a specific guy. It was Ron Jarrett with Mission Fitness in Calgary. He works with some high-end athletes and all ages, from helping people get off injuries to losing weight to bettering their lifestyle, whatever it might be. He kind of does it all. So I went in there, and one of my sponsors introduced me to him, and we kind of just built a program. We sat down. He said, "I'm just going to do a full body assessment and just have a chat with you." So I chatted with him. I said, this is what I kind of want to, I need to find somebody that's going to give me this. And he goes, "Well, what are you looking for?" I said, "Well, I need more mobility. I want to feel better. I want to know how I'm going to feel. And I want to look better. And my digestion, just everything. I just wanted to, because before I was just getting away with, I would just eat anything, right? Like I grew up in a small town. My parents are very blue collar. If I didn't eat what was on the table, I wasn't hungry. That's how it went, right? So, whatever, I'm just happy, if I am getting fed. So that's when I kind of realized, when I kind of donated my time. Like, he's like, "Okay, tonight I was supposed to leave and go play events down in the southern states." And I sat that night and I was like, you know what, that's kind of a good idea. I mean, I've never dieted. I've never stuck to a structure for working out or anything like that. I said, you know what, maybe it's one thing I haven't tried in my career. Maybe I give it a go. So the next day I woke up and gave him a call and I said, "I'm in. Let's do it." He goes, "Well, how much time can you give me?" I said, "Well, let's do 6 weeks." So I did 6 weeks of getting up, going to the gym, once or twice a day, whatever he wanted me there, and doing animal movements, high hip bear crawls, crab reaches, stuff like that. And we kind of worked into just more body weight lifting and stuff like that, just to have more mobility in your body. And this came along with the keto diet. He introduced me to the keto diet. So I pretty much was sitting in Calgary with one reason, just to stick to the diet and work out and not do anything else. And it was really big for me because it taught me to be really disciplined, whether it was just for the diet or just be really disciplined on something in general. So I brought focus into my life and structure. It landed me for 6 weeks. I haven't been landed in 6 weeks for probably 4 years. So it was really good. I took it in right away. Started to feel great right off the hop. Woke up the same way every morning. Stuck to my routine, stuck to all my eating habits, and it just led into weight loss right away. Body started feeling better. I started getting stronger, and then after a week of getting into the routine, it became easier and easier, because I was getting the effects of feeling good and the strength and losing a little bit of weight. Like, I think I lost 1.5 pounds the first week, but I felt stronger. So I felt like I was, there was some progress. So it was really neat for me to kind of get on this whole journey I went on.
Yeah, that's, coming from a background where you're so used to just outworking your diet, right? When you're on the ice for an hour, 2 hours, you burn an insane amount of calories without even noticing it. And then when you go in the kitchen, you can kind of get away with eating whatever you want because you've now, burned so many calories skating around. And to be honest, those kinds of sports, they don't always feel like exercise because they're so much fun to play. And then golf, I know, there's a huge physical component to it, but while you're playing, you're not necessarily doing cardio or running around. So the metabolism slows down, and I think it probably catches up to a lot of people that get in their 20s and 30s, and they start realizing, well, carbs were great in this high amount when I was physically active, but now that I have moderate physical activity levels, it might not necessarily work for me at this time in my life. So when you started working with this guy in Calgary, a nutritionist, what was your daily diet like? What did it look like, and did he ever have you, do any kind of fasting or anything like that?
I wasn't eating a lot in the morning when I woke up. I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have a coffee, and I'd go work out. So whether it would be, legs or upper body, or I would do regulating, rowing and animal movements and stuff like that. I'd wake up, have a coffee. After that, I'd have steak and eggs and some spinach on the side. And then at night, I would also have an omelet. So I'd have probably 5 eggs in my omelet, 5, 6 eggs. And I'd have a bunch of veggies in there. And then I'd have some meat on the side and maybe some sliced avocado and tomato on the side. And then I'd probably have a piece of fruit getting later on after dinner. That's kind of what I felt like. I'm not saying here's your diet, this is what you eat. And that's not what my trainer gave me, but I felt this worked for me. My body felt great. I felt strong, wasn't getting bloated, had energy. Like as soon as I went on this diet, that's what I was gaining from it, the energy. I never was low. I never was high. I had this steady energy throughout the day. So I'd wake up, have a coffee, get going, could work out. And then, about 5 o'clock, you get like that groggy feeling. Well, I wasn't feeling this as much when I was on the diet and working out. So I would, have an after dinner workout, or when it came into rounds of golf, I'd play a round of golf. And then this would enable me to be able to go to the driving range and still practice for 2 or 3 hours after, where, before, when I kind of was like, I don't feel too hot, or I'd be starving or whatever it might be, when my diet was whatever, I'd play around at golf and be like, I'll go to the range in the morning or whatever when I feel a little better. But having that in your life where your energy and your body doesn't change throughout the day is massive. Like it's unbelievable just to have that up on everybody else. Like who really wants to, if their stomach's not feeling well, or they're groggy, or their body's trying to digest, a 1,200 calorie pasta or whatever it might be, you're going to have the upper hand on them, no matter what it is, no matter what sport, whether you're in an office, whether you're not. Your body's working the right way, you're clear, you have energy, you're gonna be better than the person beside you. So those were just some of the things I was gaining from the diet that just came into my life right away. So
Right, and I'd say that fat is it almost feels like a cleaner burning fuel for the body. And a lot of people who start to shift their diet towards lower carb, higher fat approach, they feel that they feel that their energy levels are consistent, they're full longer, they're satisfied when they finish eating. And because there aren't as many fluctuations in blood sugar, you kind of feel like this stableness throughout the day, going to bed, wake up in the morning. And you're right, like that focus kind of brings everything in your life back together. I can say, with a lot of confidence, whether it's with my exercise, with my work, or when I was, a student in school, it really helped me balance a lot of things, and not get so worked up on, I got to eat and get my energy back up. I could go that extra hour, that extra 2 hours without eating. In the afternoons, I was okay to keep going because, getting home from school or whatever it may be, and like having to go and do more work in the evening, you need that. You can't just get away with, having that day that ends at 4 or 5 and then just taking a nap on the couch all night. there's no productivity in that, and it doesn't get you that far, especially if you're an athlete and you really need that extra 1% advantage. I think if you look on the internet and you look at what trainers are doing with their athletes, everyone is looking for that advantage. You can only go out to a range so much and hit balls, or go and practice your putting. A lot of it is going to come from how disciplined you are with your sleep, your nutrition, and things that are kind of outside of the sport. I know recently, I don't know if you heard, but Canada changed its dietary guidelines, and now they suggest that you should have low fat. So they're saying not to have cheese. They're saying not to, they're trying to stay away from anything that's higher in fat, and it's giving dairy farmers a hard time as well. And so, I mean, there's nothing really to substantiate this evidence, and the papers they used weren't really totally credible. And so, I mean, it sucks to see, because I know a lot of people in Canada are going to get scared, and they're going to go back to their grains for breakfast, glass of orange juice, cereal. And to me, it just blows my mind that they can push that kind of agenda to people, especially young kids, I think, are the most susceptible. But when you shifted your diet, was it weird for you initially to say, wait, you want me to eat this fat, which for your whole life you probably thought, you've been taught was like the enemy, or this like evil thing that you should stay away from?
Yeah, it was interesting for me, because I kind of, when I was getting going on the diet, I was always sending them, my trainer, a text, hey, can I eat this, or what's kind of a good way to do, cook my eggs, or eat with what, or how, what kind of meat can I eat? So I was always asking questions, and it was really interesting to see, from the start. I mean, he put some butter in his coffee, and just little things, like just stuff like that. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, usually my whole life I've thought, okay, well, there's fat, I can't eat it, or I shouldn't eat it, or whatever. But it's totally opposite. And with all these things that are coming out, it's really hard to, it's really easy to, like, nowadays we live in, look at our era, right? It's everything. There's something posted online, or Instagram, or Twitter, or Facebook, or whatever it might be. You read it, and all of a sudden it's like, that kind of actually sounds pretty smart, and then you believe it. Whether you've tried it or whether you haven't tried it, if everybody else is doing it, you're going to be like, yeah, you know what? It's easy to ride the wave. So it's tough to, I mean, if people are going to sit here and be like, oh, well, I'm not doing that diet because I heard this, I think it's ridiculous, because you haven't tried it, for starters. So, and that diet might not work for somebody, but it might work for you. So it's a really hard to, I'm the guy where it's like, okay, unless I've done it, seen it, or can prove it, I need the facts, because how can I judge it if I know nothing about it? So, I mean, for me, like, I'm 26-year-old guy. When I started the keto diet for the first time, I was just before I turned 24, and just everything I got from the diet alone, whether it was confidence or weight loss. Like, over 6 weeks, I lost 18.5 pounds, and I went from 14.8% body fat to 8.3. So, and you know what? I wasn't being the Arnold Schwarzenegger in the gym. I'd wake up in the morning, stick to my diet all day, have great sleep, and I'd work out for 1 hour a day, or half an hour, whatever it might be, whether it was rowing, or whether I went in and did some body movements, or animal movements, whatever it might be. And then it led into my lifestyle, where I woke up in the morning, I was clear-headed. My body wasn't, it'd wake up and knew what it was getting throughout the day. It was getting some activity, and it was getting, great food and coming into the body. So it knew how to break them down. When I woke up before, it'd be kind of a bad sleep, because, I'd go to bed with a stomach ache here and there, wake up, my body wouldn't know what to do, because it'd be getting 2 burgers and a foot-long Subway sandwich that night, or a burger and eggs Benny, and then maybe an O. Henry, or whatever it might be. So my body's constantly being like, what the hell is this? Oh, today was a great day. Tomorrow, here comes the burgers again. Oh, there's 6 beer. So your body always is kind of just like, what's going on? And it's always working this OT. So your brain and your body can't focus on kind of the task at hand, what you're really trying to work towards. It's off doing something else for you, which if you can make that switch over, which the keto diet did for me, it's great because now you wake up and your body's just like, all right, boom, I know what's happening. Go do your things. And that's what I kind of pulled from it. I got the luxury of feeling good, and it was doing stuff to my body that I was trying to let happen to my body, whether it was a little bit of weight loss, more mobility, and to look better. And with that, confidence and an overall better feeling throughout my day, because my digestive system wasn't just like, what the hell, man. So uh, it was good. I loved it. It was a great experience. So
Yeah. And I went through a similar situation in my first year of my undergrad. At the time, I wanted to become a dentist. So, I had gone from being student athlete of the year in grade 12 and playing sports all throughout high school to now, being, just head into my books and trying to get the best grades possible, avoiding physical activity because at the time I thought, well, you don't have time to exercise, you got to only study. And so my physical activity went from, an hour or two a day to almost zero. I was lucky to get in the gym once a week. And that was unfortunate, but it happened. And I noticed that, my freshman 15 slowly turned into a freshman 20 and then a freshman 30. And that was like literally 4 months into school. And I couldn't believe, I always knew that I had a relatively slow metabolism, but it kind of hit me like a couple months into school, and I honestly couldn't believe it. And so once I was there, it was extremely hard to recover from it because you're so used to eating a carb-based diet that once you slow down and remove some carbs and try to get healthy or whatever it might be, your body starts to get these insane cravings, and then you feel hungry all the time. And so I really struggled with that weight loss initially, and I've discussed this story a few times, but luckily I got introduced to keto, and that's what led me to kind of pursue it more deeply. But the fact that I could have lost my first 30 pounds in like literally a month, maybe 2 months max, and feel confident for the first time in like a year. And people who have gone through significant amounts of weight gain especially after being athletic for so long, they know that it kind of attacks your identity. You feel confused, you feel a little bit lost because you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't recognize that person. You're so used to being active and in shape, and so it was a really tough time, especially for me. And I know you probably went through the same thing, but keto helped me tremendously. Honestly, I don't know if I ever would have been able to really dial things in and build the confidence I needed to keep going without it. And I find that a lot of critics, especially on the internet, whenever they bash approaches to eating like keto or paleo, they always make this claim that carbs don't kill you, carbs aren't the enemy, and I eat this many carbs and I get away with it. And it's just the fact that the small percentage of people, the 1 or 2% that either have a high metabolism or play some sort of sport a couple hours a day, whether you're a professional hockey player or you spend a lot of time exercising, they seem to be the loudest voices. And for some reason, they go out and search for people to put down and brag about the fact that they're able to do this and other people aren't. Well, the fact of the matter is most people can't tolerate carbohydrates to that high of a level, especially not what we're seeing in the Western diet. I mean, if you look at literally any food, if you look at the label, there's a good chance somehow sugar or a carbohydrate source snuck its way in there. Like you look at anything from a salad dressing that's supposed to go on top of a vegetable, to bread. I mean, there's some types of bread and pasta, if you look on the ingredient list, it's not just wheat flour, they actually put sugar inside. And so it's everywhere, and it's really hard to escape. So the one thing that I have to say is for people who have had bad experiences dieting or are a little bit skeptical about keto, well, don't knock it till you try it. And people will have their opinions, but like you took an open mind approach to it and it worked for you, I think that same approach would work for a lot of people if they just gave it a try.
absolutely, like um, exactly what you said. You can't jump to conclusions unless you tried it. Like it's one thing, like getting back to what you were just saying there. Like what, if I went back to my 19-year-old year when I was 19, I was playing hockey every day and working out, doing whatever. Well, yeah, you know what? I could eat probably a medium pizza, two burgers, and a steak, and maybe a pasta for a day. But that's not know, what a body can take and what it can't take and what you're getting from it. You take these guys like you were just saying, okay, well, I can eat carbs, I can do this, but those guys are also, you know, in a sense, superhumans of the society. They're working out 2, 3, 4 hours a day. They're pounding back protein shakes. They're a different breed. Their body's built so they can do that. But the keto diet for everybody can be, you know, used in different ways. Whether you're working out or whether you're not working out, you're going to get great positive feedback from this diet. Whether it's, you know, if even if you're losing, like I said, I lost a pound the first week of my diet. Well, you know what? If you were going to take somebody who's, you know, 300 pounds, 400 pounds or whatever, and say, hey, listen, all you got to do is change your eating just a little bit. You still can eat meat, you still can eat eggs, you still can eat a lot of great things. And, you know, you can have a day where you kind of sneak in some other things. But if you were going to lose a pound a week and lose 52 pounds a year, they would take in a heartbeat, just to adjust their diet a bit. And then if you want to be more, you know, strong on it, you work out a little bit or whatever it might be. But the outcome and all the positive stuff you get from the keto diet, the clarity, your body feeling better because it's not working OT to burn off a chicken Alfredo pasta or whatever it might be. Your great sleeps at night, right? Because you're not going to bed feeling bloated or starving or whatever it might be. Your sugar highs rising and lowering, you know, like a wave. It's tough for me to see somebody kind of knock the keto diet without trying it, because I had such a great experience. When I'm the guy that you can walk by and be like, hey, do you want some of this? I'll be like, sure, you know, I'll eat whatever. And I did my whole life. So I'm not the guy where it's like, oh, let me read the label. You know, I got to see it. So I took this diet and I was like, you know what? I've never actually done this for me. Let's give it a go. And I had a great experience doing it, and it's a diet that's easy to get into. You know, it's obviously a change because there's some things you can't walk by the candy cupboard and be like, oh, let's have an O. Henry, obviously, right? So you're going to get out of it what you want to put into it. If you want to stay strict with it, then yeah, you're going to see some weight loss and significant changes, whether it's in your focus, your clarity, your energy, your sleep, your stomach, whatever it might be. You will see spikes in those areas, I promise you. And it's overall just a great diet. Like I've had lots of buddies who have done it and are going on it, and they've had kind of the exact same response that I'm saying. So
Yeah, likewise. And for me, the shift, you know, between say becoming a dentist or pursuing what is now K Nutri was helping family and friends and seeing how much their lives changed. And, you know, even my managers at work, I helped one of my managers lose over, I think it was 40 pounds. And he was a guy who was in his late 30s and had been relatively overweight for most of his life. So you talk about a diet that can literally change someone's life and, you know, completely turn around the habits that they've built and the mental perception, right? People who try and fail diets over and over again, especially the crash diets that most people try to sell you, they build this wall in their head where they stop believing that a diet generally will work for them. They think that they're just stuck with being overweight for the rest of their lives, and then they become convinced. So I think keto has been a savior for a lot of people in that sense, where it kind of liberates them from this mental slavery they've had on you know, their body composition and the fact that they might be stuck, you know, looking or feeling a certain way for the rest of their lives. Even from an athlete perspective, you know, in sports, there's been a lot of athletes, like a few years ago, LeBron James went on keto for the off season to drop, I think it was 20 or 30 pounds. And for a guy his size, I mean, that might not be a significant amount, but when you think about now you're carrying 20 pounds less up and down the court every game, for someone like that, it's huge. It's significant. Reduces the inflammation, the pain on the joints, the pressure on the joints, and you know, just makes you faster and more agile. So whether you're an average person or an athlete, I think it's helpful for everyone. And I listened to a podcast recently with the nutritionist on the LA Lakers, and so she's been taking a lower carbohydrate, higher fat approach for some of the athletes on the team. And so I see it creeping a lot into sports now because of its metabolic advantage. Your body can only store so many carbohydrates at a time, but if you're fat adapted and you can get in enough fat, say before a game or a practice, and you've combined it with a small amount of carbs, then you're really training your body to become the best machine it can be. It can operate in the most optimal way. In sport, especially in golf, have you noticed a trend away from kind of the high carbohydrate lifestyle or the lack of direction with nutrition, period?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge in sports. Like, 10, 15 years ago, I mean, I was pretty young then, but if you look back on videos, and I used to watch golf as a kid and stuff, there was the John Daly's and stuff like that where they can kind of just get away with it. There was no, I guarantee you, there was no gym, or training side of things. It was just like, all right, well, this guy's 150 pounds overweight, but he's shooting 10 under every day. Am I going to take him to the gym and tell him to work out? This is going to better your game. No, that's irrelevant. But nowadays, everybody's hitting it so far, and they're so strong mentally, and I think we get a lot of strength from how our body's feeling. Like if you're coming down the stretch, and I got a guy who's just 8-0 Henry on hole 10, and it's 40 degrees out and 85% humidity. Say we're playing in Thailand or something, and I've been rock solid all day. I had a great breakfast. I'm getting all my energy from my fats and stuff, but he's getting the sugar high, so he's spiked and he's on a roll. Now he gets the shakes, and we're coming down the 16th hole, and I've stayed dead level, all day with my energy. He's going to do this, decline. So he's all of a sudden, okay, he's kind of getting lucky a little bit if he's pulling shots off, where I can still stay focused, stay in the moment, realize what I'm up to. That's what you really need in golf. And I think that's why a lot of guys, not only for the strength side of things and looking good and feeling good, but I think just the clarity and the mental focus, because their energy levels are staying the same throughout the day from this diet, that's so beneficial for us, because we're constantly fighting, okay, is our body prepared to go out there and warm up for an hour, walk over to the first tee, be out there for 5 hours in front of people, be in the heat, be in the mental pressure? Have we prepped ourselves for that? Well, your body might be ready, but is your diet ready? If you've had a sandwich before you went out, you're eventually going to run out of that energy, because the bread's going to turn into sugar, and you're eventually going to lose that high. If you have a great diet and you stay strong throughout the day, you're going to play solid. You're going to be able to focus. You're not going to make decisions that you would if you were tired or getting overwhelmed. So that's kind of what it's kind of the whole picture guys are pulling from the diet. They're kind of realizing, okay, that guy looks the same as me, probably, curls and benches the same as me, but his diet's crap. And if I can make mine good and feel great, like if you walk up to me and I'm playing against you, and after every hole, a guy comes up to us and asks how you feel. And if you feel bad and have a stomach ache and I feel great, you're going to be like, what the heck? This guy's got an advantage. Well, that's how it works, but it's never put that way. But that's how you see it. It's like, how can I beat a guy that has the same skill as me? I feel like crap and he feels good. You might beat him once, but you're not going to beat him very often. So that's coming huge in the golf world, where it's like, he might hit more balls than me, but what can I do, the little things to get ahead of people? And the keto diet was huge for me. I had I had my best year out of my 4 years after I took that time, had 6 weeks working out, had a strong diet. I had one of my best years. I think I had maybe 5 mini tour wins, and just had strength throughout the year. I found myself going out, whether I played bad or good in the round, I could go to the range, I could practice more, and I was ready to go in the morning. Felt strong, felt very solid over the ball. And I went to the course knowing I looked good and I felt good. So it kind of wrapped the whole bundle up for me. I was like, okay, well, did I eat well? Yeah. Did I practice hard? Yeah. Did I work out? Yeah. Do I look good? Yes. So I'm kind of sitting there and I'm checking off all these boxes more than I did the year before. And that does something for you, whether it's you waking up and going to the gym or going to the office or whatever it might be. If you've checked off 10 more boxes or one more boxes or one more box than you did the day before, you're still ahead of what you were before. So this is kind of what it allowed me to do in my life, was to open up more doors and opportunities of, the brain, how my body felt, strength and confidence. So
Right, and that's huge, especially in a sport like golf. Confidence obviously is big, and then focus. I mean, there are long days with golf. There are people that I'm sure are heckling in this, who are watching. Maybe people drop comments at you from hole to hole, or it's like you said, 40 degrees out. The ability to stay in the zone and stay focused through 4, 5, 6 hours of golf, especially when you're getting to the end, I think that's the biggest advantage, right? And like you said, when you're matched up against someone with the same skill level, how do you get the upper hand on a day-to-day basis? And dialing in your diet is huge, and I'm glad you brought that up, because obviously golf, of all sports, has the biggest mental aspect to it, and getting that upper hand is always key. Uh, is there specific mental training that you did for golf, or things that you found helpful to really dial yourself in mentally?
yeah, I went to it's called Alpha Biocybernaut training. The book wrote about the training is called The Art of Smart Thinking. This doctor went ahead and he made up some sort of a system and program. There's one, it's called a training center, clinic center, and there's one in Souk on Vancouver Island. There's one in Tucson, Arizona, and there's one in Germany. And what it is you get hooked up to all these electrodes and hooked up to a machine behind you, and you sit in a all black room in front of a computer screen. These wires are hooked up to kind of like a database where it pumps out all your information of your frontal lobes, your occipital lobes, and so on. And what it does is it teaches you how to, and gives you the information of suppressing your alpha and enhancing your alpha. So in a sense, we're in an alpha state right now where we're conscious, we're active, we're thinking. In those certain trainings, after I got further, like I'm alpha trained 4, so I've been 4 weeks to this. Now I'm able to sit there and pull different memories out of my head while I'm sitting there with my eyes closed in this room, listening to my brain waves. Pull different scenarios and memories I have in my brain out, and whether they were bad memories or good memories, I can relive them and kind of flood those scenarios and memories with alpha brainwaves. So, for instance, I had a terrible round I played in a very, very big high pressure situation. So I revisited this. I didn't want to, but over time I was like, okay, I gotta go over this again, right? It's not, you have those memories where it's like, I'm kind of salty about that whenever you think about it. So I was able to pull this out, relive the whole round of golf, so I played the whole round again, of the outcome being I won. I stayed solid with my focus, and didn't crack under pressure and stuff like that. And I won, and I flooded it with alpha. And I kind of changed the scenario for myself in my brain, but I also got the facts that I was actually flooding it with high levels of enhancement of alpha brainwaves. So when I visit the scenario, your body reacts to what your brain's thinking. So now I'm thinking, okay, I'm okay with that. So now it's taking a little bit more weight off your shoulders, and it's allowed me to do that without sharing it with anybody. Like I didn't have to go to a counselor's office or tell 12 of my buddies how crappy I played or whatever it might be. I was able to just do it on my own, and that was kind of gave me the strength of like, wow, this is some pure stuff, right? I not only lived this moment, but I kind of fixed it for myself, and it was actually that memory that I was thinking of. That gets back to the keto diet. It was just before kind of one of the experiences I had where I got on the course. I had shakes. I was shaking on the first tee because I had sugar highs, right? I had this spike of a sugar high. So, and there's people around me. So now it's kind of, I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed. And before you know it, I'm hitting shots that I would never hit. And, here's a bogey. I just was doing stuff, and I could never really regain that level consciousness of being soft and focused. And that strictly came from my diet and not thinking smart. But when you have a diet that's spiking these sugar levels while you're out there and you're getting overwhelmed, look out. Because now it's snowballing this train, right? And it's a runaway train. Like it's and then all of a sudden, you can kind of tame that runaway if you're solid and focused. But when you have the sugar high feeding it, throwing gas on a fire, I mean, it's pretty tough to hold on to that side of things. So this training was cool because it pulled out while I was pulling these scenarios out and making them better, or figuring out how I can focus on the task at hand with blurring everything else out. It also pulled out memories and thoughts that allowed me to think about them again and be like, why was it that way? And that was the scenario where, I woke up and kind of ate whatever I wanted, and I walked off the course and I was like, what just happened? Because I couldn't really control myself. And I wanted to give myself the opportunity to never do that again, like to have control of my energy levels, and Keto Diet was absolutely one of them. So
Yeah, and that's really cool. Honestly, there's a ton of different, trainings that people are doing now on the mental side of things. I see a lot of people meditating. I see a lot of people learning to relax, do yoga, whatever it is. This training protocol that you did sounds awesome too, because in a sense you become your own therapist. You can kind of work out problems with yourself and reduce those arousal levels the next time they come up, because you don't want to be standing on a course thinking about the last time that you really goofed up playing a course, right? It's like the last thing you want to think about, but the brain plays tricks on you and it kind of brings stuff up at the worst possible time. And so if you can train your brain to kind of put those things to the side and allow you to stay focused at hand, it's just another, like you said, another way to get an upper hand with physical training. And I've been seeing this a lot more in golf as well. I think Rory McIlroy kind of led the way with working with Nike and their entire Metcon line, and I see him in a lot of ads, which is really cool because he got scrutinized for going in the gym and squatting heavy and deadlifting heavy from people who thought, well, you don't need to do that for golf. But I think it plays a huge role in not just building your strength, but your core and your stabilizer muscles. So what role do you think the physical training in your regimen has in terms of your golf play, or in the golf sphere in general now?
Well, you brought up a big argument in the golf world. Guys are like, well, you don't need to lift weights. You don't need to work out this way. You don't need to have this. Well, every year that passes by and you see new guys on TV, they're believe it or not, they're getting bigger, they're getting stronger, the ball's flying farther. So for you to, whether you're trying to get to the PGA Tour, whether you're on the PGA Tour, to sit there and be like, you know what, I'm okay with how far I hit it right now. Well, unless you're hitting it 330, that's probably not a good way to think, because guys are just hitting it so far, and every day guys are getting stronger. Like you see Dustin Johnson and Rory and all these guys, they're working out so hard and they're hitting the ball so far and they're so strong. And getting back to the point I brought up earlier, everybody's kind of, whether people already worked out and they bring something else into their golf game, whether it's diet or bringing in a workout or whatever it might be, people are bringing all these things into their game now because everybody's so good. So for you to walk on a course and be like, oh, I don't have to work out, that doesn't fly anymore. Because, how do you walk on the course and be like, well, I just hit lots of balls, I train, I'm ready to go. And then Rory McIlroy steps on the tee beside you and he goes, well, this guy's been working out every day. This guy's got a great eating habit. He feels unbelievable and he's good. What happens then? So it's not it's not the olden days where you just go out and play golf, go have a cocktail and have a smoke or whatever after, way back in the day. But it's, the physical side of things of working out and bringing that diet that fits your game is beneficial in every way, I think, for sure, especially in the golf world. Every year you see guys getting bigger, better, and stronger. And that starts with diet and in the gym. And when you show up to the golf course, it leads to confidence, strength, and better play overall. So.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked to Matt Tift about this, and he's a NASCAR driver, and you wouldn't necessarily think of NASCAR being the kind of sport where people are dialing in their diet, but he's talking about being behind the wheel of a car that's going really fast for a long period of time, and it gets really hot inside. And so the ability to stay focused, not have those, fluctuations in sugar or blood sugar, excuse me, is extremely important. And I think it's involved in every sport. I think golf has come a long way more than other sports, but if you look at the body composition of athletes across a huge dimension of sports, I mean, people are getting extremely fit. They're finding out small ways to get better and better, and I love to see that. I mean, I love to see every sport really dialing in the physical and diet side of things, and it makes it more interesting because it's more competitive and it makes it more fun to watch. As someone who's just viewing it on TV or whatever it might be. And for you, what are the future directions for golf, and what do you have planned for this year?
So it's really getting going right now for me. I'm second alternate on the sponsor list for the Waste Management Open on the PGA Tour coming up here, and the Genesis Open over in Hollywood. So I'm just waiting to hear back of if I'm going to get in or not. So I'm just getting things going, working out hard, and getting training going with golf. And then I'm going to head over to Spain. I got 3 events to play over there. And going to go from there. I'm probably going to head back over this way. I got a couple starts on PGA Tour Canada, and I'm going to go back to qualifying school to see if I can get a full card going and play out the season, and just kind of trying to get everything going, right? Get the diet back going. I had a good time on the holidays, and had some good family time, and just excited to get everything going, getting back to the range and getting focused and getting back on the keto and feeling strong again. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. All right, well, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. It was awesome having you on the show. It's really cool just to connect with different people coming from different sports and different backgrounds, and sharing how not just keto, but dialing in their diet and really looking at their nutrition and being honest with themselves about what works and what doesn't. It's incredible to see the difference that it makes in just their day-to-day life. So thanks for coming to the show. Thanks for sharing that with us, and we'll be sure to keep our followers updated with how this year goes for you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much. I had a blast.